America has always had a complicated relationship with health. This is a country that invented kale smoothies, wearable heart monitors, and gym memberships with monthly auto-renew. Yet somehow also manages to deep fry butter at state fairs and market it as part of a balanced lifestyle. It's a place where billion-dollar corporations sprinkle the word natural onto anything, from cereal made of pure sugar dust to supplements manufactured in facilities that look like medieval alchemy labs. And millions of people nod along as if the label itself carries the blessing of a higher nutritional power. Wellness here isn't a science. It's a religion made of marketing slogans, Instagram advice, and a deep cultural desire to feel healthy without doing anything that might involve discomfort, vegetables, or reading the back of a package. Across the country, entire industries thrive by convincing Americans that if something is gluten-free, plant-based, infused with vitamins, shaped like a granola cluster, or simply color-coded in earth tones, it must be good for them, even if the ingredient list reads like the cast of a chemistry symposium. Smoothies hide more sugar than sodas. Detox teas quietly dehydrate people into oblivion, and protein bars contain the nutritional soul of a melted candy bar wearing a fitness tracker. Yet the myth persists, floating through grocery aisles like a patriotic ghost whispering, "If it says healthy, it must be true." Today, we're opening a confidential file on the wellness beliefs America has proudly, loudly, and tragically misunderstood. The things people swear are good for them, but are, in reality, dietary booby traps waiting to ambush their metabolism. Fasten your seatbelts. Logic is about to die a spectacular death. 1. For years, Americans treated granola as the holy grail of clean eating, piling it onto yogurt, smoothies, and anything else that needed a halo. What most people missed was that many store-bought granolas contain more sugar per serving than a frosted donut, turning breakfast into dessert wearing earth tone packaging. Nutritionists kept warning that oats drowned in syrup, oil, and chocolate chips do not magically become health food just because the bag features a mountain. The punchline is simple. The only thing natural about granola is how naturally it spikes your blood sugar. 2. Smoothies became America's answer to, "I'm healthy, but also extremely busy," with entire chains built around drinking fruit instead of eating it. But many of these blends hide hundreds of calories, multiple servings of sugar, and enough additives to make a chemist smirk. Doctors point out that liquefying fruit removes the fiber that slows digestion, creating a colorful glucose bomb that hits like a fast-acting candy infusion. The real shock is that people believe they're detoxing while accidentally reenacting the metabolic profile of a soda fountain. 3. Sports drinks, originally designed for dehydrated athletes, somehow became everyday beverages for people whose most strenuous activity was scrolling on their phone. Packed with electrolytes but also loaded with sugar, these neon liquids often contain more calories than the workout someone didn't do. Health researchers repeatedly note that unless you've run a marathon or wrestled a bear, you probably don't need a beverage engineered for physical warfare. Yet millions drink them believing they're hydrating, when what they're really doing is sipping high-tech Kool-Aid. 4. Vitamin gummies allowed adults to enjoy candy under the noble disguise of supplementation, turning health into a dessert ritual. Many contain added sugars, stabilizers, and doses so inconsistent that nutritionists joke you get more reliability from fortune cookies. People down them by the handful, believing more vitamins equal more vitality, unaware that fat-soluble vitamins can accumulate to dangerous levels. The irony is delicious. In trying to avoid candy, Americans found a way to eat candy with permission. 5. Coconut oil rose to fame as the miracle cure that could fix digestion, burn fat, boost immunity, and probably negotiate world peace if given enough time. But dietitians keep reminding everyone that it's primarily saturated fat, raising LDL cholesterol and contributing to heart issues when consumed excessively. Despite this, the wellness industry marketed it like holy water extracted from tropical angels. In reality, using coconut oil for everything is less ancestral wisdom and more modern misunderstanding served warm. 6. Gluten-free snacks exploded in popularity when Americans collectively decided gluten was the villain responsible for every mood swing, weight fluctuation, and moment of existential dread. The catch is that gluten-free products often have more sugar, more starch, and fewer nutrients than the gluten-filled versions they replace. Researchers stress that unless someone has celiac disease or a medical sensitivity, ditching gluten doesn't magically improve health. It just improves the profit margins of food companies. The trend proves one thing: fear sells better than flour. 7. Zero-calorie sodas convinced generations of Americans that chemistry could outsmart biology simply by swapping sugar for artificial sweeteners. Studies show that while these drinks don't contain calories, they may still affect appetite, insulin response, and cravings, leading people to eat more later. Consumers sip them proudly, believing they've escaped nutritional consequences, while their bodies quietly run the calculations and request additional snacks. The real zero here is the number of people who read the research before chugging. 8. Detox teas promised instant purification, glowing skin, and the spiritual clarity of a Himalayan retreat compressed into a tea bag. In truth, most of these teas rely on laxatives and diuretics, causing water loss mistaken for toxins leaving the body. Doctors warn that long-term use can lead to dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, and a very confusing relationship with bathrooms. The only thing these teas reliably cleanse is the user's schedule, for several hours. 9. Protein bars strutted into gyms and grocery stores like nutritional superheroes, packaged in chrome wrappers that implied athletic destiny. But many contain as much sugar and processed ingredients as candy bars, differing mainly in marketing budget and font choices. Fitness experts say they're useful in specific cases, but disastrous when eaten like snacks. The punchline is that most people could achieve the same effect by eating a Snickers and pretending it's wearing gym clothes. 10. Flavored yogurts, celebrated as probiotic powerhouses, often hide sugar levels that rival desserts, turning a supposedly wholesome breakfast into a dairy-based ambush. Brands add fruit purees, sweeteners, and syrups to mask tartness, creating a product more suitable for ice cream aisles than health sections. Nutritionists constantly remind people that plain yogurt and dessert yogurt are two different creatures entirely. The disappointment is universal. Americans bought a health halo and accidentally spooned up pudding. 11. Energy bars entered the American imagination as portable fuel for mountain climbers, endurance athletes, and rugged explorers who battle nature for breakfast. Eventually, office workers, students, and bored commuters adopted them as meal replacements, unaware that many varieties contain more calories and syrups than the desserts they were supposed to replace. Dietitians keep pointing out that these bars were engineered for people burning thousands of calories, not for someone burning emotional energy in a cubicle. In the end, most energy bars don't boost performance. They just help people justify eating a brick of sugar wrapped in foil. 12. Frozen yogurt became the dessert Americans proudly ate without guilt, marketed as the angelic cousin of ice cream sent to save humanity from dairy sins. But store-bought versions often include added sugars, stabilizers, and toppings that transform a healthy choice into a full-blown candy sundae. Nutritionists repeatedly remind the public that swapping cream for chemicals doesn't magically improve your diet. The sweetest irony is that froyo shops became confessionals where people absolved themselves with sprinkles. 13. Multivitamin megadosing turned supplements into a cultural security blanket, with Americans swallowing pills like protective charms against aging, illness, and bad life choices. Yet large-scale studies show that taking excessive vitamins can be ineffective at best and harmful at worst, especially when fat-soluble vitamins accumulate in the body. People cling to their pill organizers like they're sacred relics, capable of rewriting metabolic destiny. In truth, the only thing guaranteed to be stronger is the illusion of control. 14. Low-fat products gained popularity during the 1980s, when Americans decided that dietary fat, not sugar, was the real villain behind every health crisis. Food companies responded by stripping fat from yogurt, snacks, and meals, replacing it with sugar and thickeners to keep the flavor palatable. Researchers now know this swap made metabolic health worse, not better. But the labels persist, like ghosts from a nutritional dark age. The punchline is that fat wasn't the problem, but fear was. 15. Agave syrup walked into the wellness scene wearing organic robes and promising smoother blood sugar curves than regular sugar. What most people overlooked was that agave often contains more fructose than high fructose corn syrup, stressing the liver and contributing to metabolic issues. Wellness influencers drizzled it onto everything, believing its golden color carried moral superiority. But a sweet lie is still a lie, no matter how artisanal the bottle looks. 16. Juice cleanses became America's favorite shortcut to redemption, offering a 3-day reset for bodies that had endured decades of questionable decisions. But juice removes fiber, concentrates sugar, and deprives the body of protein and essential nutrients, creating a cycle of blood sugar crashes disguised as enlightenment. Doctors keep explaining that the liver already detoxes the body without needing help from an $11 bottle of green liquid. Yet people keep sipping, hoping salvation comes cold-pressed. 17. Air fryers earned a reputation as miracle machines, capable of turning French fries into health food with the power of hot air alone. While they do reduce oil usage, the foods cooked in them are often still high in calories, salt, and carbs, defeating the fantasy that technology alone can redeem comfort food. Americans treat air fryers like nutritional cheat codes, convinced that crispiness equals cleanliness. But a crunchy onion ring is still an onion ring, no matter how modern the appliance. 18. Natural sweeteners like honey, maple syrup, and coconut sugar became cultural darlings because they came from plants instead of laboratories. But biochemically, they're still forms of sugar that can spike blood sugar and contribute to the same metabolic issues as the white stuff. The wellness world embraced them with spiritual fervor, sprinkling them into breakfast as if nature's approval made them calorie-free. In reality, bees and trees don't grant nutritional absolution. 19. Organic junk food emerged as the final boss of American health delusions. Cookies, chips, and snacks made with organic cane sugar and organic wheat flour, packaged like ethical miracles. Shoppers grabbed them, believing the USDA seal transformed decadence into virtue, unaware that sugar is still sugar, even if the farmer wore sandals. Nutrition scientists joke that organic junk food is just junk food with better lighting. Marketing wins again. Metabolism loses. 20. Flavored sparkling waters promised guilt-free refreshment, marketed as the perfect alternative to soda for the health-conscious. But some varieties contain citric acid strong enough to erode enamel when consumed excessively, leaving dentists lecturing people who believed they were making the virtuous choice. The beverages feel light, clean, and hydrating, until your teeth disagree. In the end, the bubbles aren't the problem, the illusions are. 21. Fitness trackers gave Americans the comforting illusion that counting steps was the same as improving health, turning daily movement into a numbers game rather than meaningful exercise. People paced hallways at midnight to hit arbitrary goals, convinced that crossing 10,000 steps unlocked some secret metabolic achievement. Meanwhile, doctors reminded everyone that step counts don't measure intensity, strength, or cardiovascular fitness, just movement. In the end, many users became fitter at obsessing over statistics than actually getting healthier. 22. Almond milk rose to fame as the dairy-free saint of the wellness world. But most store-bought versions contain little actual almond and a lot of water, gums, and stabilizers. People drank it, believing they were choosing a nutrient-rich alternative, unaware that many varieties carry fewer vitamins than a glass of tap water dressed up in beige packaging. Nutritionists kept repeating that the health halo came from marketing, not minerals. Almond milk may be gentle on the stomach, but it's also gentle on nutrition. 23. Immune-boosting shots, tiny bottles filled with ginger, cayenne, lemon, and expensive hope, became a cultural obsession during flu seasons. While the ingredients taste powerful enough to summon ancestors, the scientific evidence behind their immunity claims remains thin. Consumers knock back these fiery potions with dramatic winces, convinced they're fighting off disease when they're mostly fighting off the urge to cry. The real boost is to the companies selling concentrated discomfort at premium prices. 24. Plant-based meat alternatives were celebrated as humanity's next step toward ethical eating, but many versions are ultra-processed blends of oils, isolates, and additives. Americans embrace them as nutritional upgrades, forgetting that plant-based can describe both broccoli and industrial food engineering. Health researchers caution that swapping a beef burger for a processed patty doesn't guarantee better outcomes. It just shifts the ingredients list from farm to laboratory. The burger may be greener, but the label doesn't make it clean. 25. Kombucha gained a cult following as the fermented fountain of youth, promising probiotics, detoxification, and spiritual realignment. But poorly brewed or improperly stored kombucha can harbor harmful bacteria or excessive acidity, triggering digestive distress instead of enlightenment. Devotees sip it like a sacred ritual, claiming it healed everything from skin to sinus issues. The truth is far less mystical. It's tea, sugar, and microbes, not a miracle. 26. Healthy, baked chips seduced snackers with promises of fewer calories and lighter textures, disguised as crunchy salvation. Yet many brands compensate for reduced oil by adding starches, refined carbs, and artificial flavoring, creating snacks that differ from traditional chips mainly in PR strategy. Nutritionists note that people often eat more of them because they feel safe, resulting in higher overall calorie intake. The chips may be baked, but the logic is fried. 27. Brown rice syrup appeared in organic snacks and energy bars as a wholesome alternative to corn syrup, despite being a high glycemic sweetener that floods the bloodstream with glucose. Parents bought natural baby snacks containing it, believing they were choosing better for their kids, while pediatricians quietly winced at the sugar content. The syrup's earthy color and eco-friendly branding disguised its biochemical aggression. Even nature can be weaponized when marketing gets involved. 28. Matcha lattes swept across cafes as the enlightened cousin of coffee, green, ceremonial, and Instagrammable. But once mixed with milk and syrup, they often contain more sugar than a caramel latte, turning antioxidant-rich powder into a stealth dessert. People walked out of cafes believing they had made a spiritually superior choice, while holding a cup engineered like a neon milkshake. The only thing getting energized was the marketing department. 29. Wellness influencers resurrected apple cider vinegar as the cure for everything, from weight loss to acne to existential dread. But consuming it undiluted can erode tooth enamel, irritate the esophagus, and disrupt digestion. Despite this, followers drink it like a morning sacrament, trusting centuries-old folk wisdom over modern dentistry. The vinegar isn't harmful because it's natural, it's harmful because it's acid, no matter how vintage the bottle looks. 30. Antioxidant snacks, chocolate-covered berries, vitamin-infused cookies, superfood trail mixes, convinced Americans that the mere presence of antioxidants made them immune to the laws of nutrition. Companies sprinkled buzzwords onto packaging like nutritional glitter, masking the fact that these snacks can be calorie-dense sugar bombs. Researchers repeatedly debunked the idea that antioxidants cancel out unhealthy ingredients, but the myth persisted with superhero enthusiasm. In the end, the only thing these snacks defended people from was dietary clarity. 1. Meal replacement shakes became the American shortcut to wellness, promising balanced nutrition in a bottle for people who didn't have time to chew. But many of these shakes are loaded with sugars, gums, stabilizers, and synthetic vitamins that digest quickly and leave people hungrier than before. Dietitians warn that replacing meals with liquid diets can slow metabolism, spike cravings, and undermine long-term health. The irony is that people drank them to simplify life, but ended up complicating their biology instead. 2. Bulletproof coffee, coffee blended with butter and oil, was promoted as a brain-boosting, metabolism-igniting miracle by biohacking evangelists. In reality, it's a high-calorie fat bomb that can exceed the energy of an entire breakfast without providing essential nutrients. Doctors caution that swapping a meal for saturated fat is not optimization, it's dietary cosplay. The drink didn't hack metabolism, it hacked common sense. 3. Veggies, chips convinced snackers they could inhale entire bags guilt-free because the word vegetable appeared somewhere on the packaging. But these snacks are often made from starches and powders, fried or baked with oils, and seasoned like traditional chips. Nutrition labels reveal that they frequently match or exceed the calorie and sodium content of their potato-based counterparts. Calling them veggie is like calling a donut wheat-based. Technically true, but spiritually misleading. 4. Turmeric shots became a wellness obsession, advertised as anti-inflammatory miracles that could soothe joints, brighten skin, and stabilize moods. Yet turmeric's active compounds require fat and pepper to be absorbed efficiently, something most shots lack entirely. Americans chug them, expecting ancient medicinal power, only to receive a fleeting, spicy burn and expensive urine. The ancient secret wasn't turmeric, it was context. 5. Clean eating turned into an American philosophy where anything unprocessed was sacred and anything processed was treated like a moral failing. But extreme clean eating often slips into orthorexia, a rigid fixation on purity that harms mental and physical health. Nutritionists begged the public to remember that balance, not fear, builds sustainable wellness. Clean eating isn't dangerous because it's wrong. It's dangerous because people forget food isn't supposed to be a religion. 6. Activated charcoal lattes, lemonades, and detox drinks looked chic and mysterious, like beverages brewed by stylish apothecaries. But charcoal absorbs medications and nutrients, disrupting digestion and reducing the effectiveness of prescriptions, including birth control. Customers drank it believing it trapped toxins, unaware it was trapping everything else, too. The aesthetic was strong, the nutrition was non-existent. 7. Himalayan salt lamps were marketed as health devices that could purify air, reduce stress, and emit healing negative ions. None of these claims have scientific support, but Americans still bought them by the millions and placed them beside beds, imagining themselves bathed in wellness. In the end, they're just pretty rocks with mood lighting, closer to home decor than healthcare. If wellness were that easy, hospitals would be lit like yoga studios. 8. Collagen powders became the beauty world's holy grail, promising firmer skin, healthier hair, and eternal youth. But studies show that collagen is broken down during digestion, just like any other protein, and its beauty effects are modest at best. Consumers stirred it into coffees and smoothies like magical fairy dust, believing every scoop shaved years off their faces. The truth is less glamorous. Aging is complex, and collagen isn't a time machine. 9. Brown sugar was celebrated as the healthier sibling of white sugar because of its darker color and trace minerals from molasses. In biochemical reality, the body treats them nearly identically, with brown sugar offering no meaningful nutritional advantage. Yet shoppers continue choosing it with righteous confidence, as if caramel hue equals moral superiority. The difference is mostly cosmetic, health by color palette. 10. Restaurant salads became the great American paradox, the menu item everyone orders when they want to be good. Yet many salads are packed with creamy dressings, fried toppings, cheese crumbles, sugared nuts, and croutons that collectively rival a cheeseburger in calories. Diners proudly choose salads, believing they're taking the high road, unaware they've stepped into a nutritional booby trap disguised as greenery. Sometimes the lettuce is just camouflage. 11. Low-calorie ice cream marched into American freezers, promising all the pleasure of dessert with none of the consequences. A fantasy so powerful, people ignored the fine print. Many brands bulk up their pints with gums, stabilizers, sugar alcohols, and air. So much air that eating a full container feels guilt-free simply because it weighs less. Dietitians warn that sugar alcohols can trigger bloating, cramps, and digestive drama intense enough to make people reconsider every choice that led them to that spoon. The real low-calorie secret isn't chemistry, it's discomfort. 12. Wheatgrass shots became the badge of honor for wellness warriors, advertised as liquid vitality squeezed straight from the earth. But the nutrient content of wheatgrass varies wildly, and drinking an ounce of bitter lawn extract offers no unique benefits beyond what vegetables already provide. Americans swallowed it with heroic grimaces, convinced that suffering equaled healing. The only thing consistently boosted was the confidence of the juice bar charging $8 for something cows eat for free. 13. Immune-boosting essential oil diffusers turned living rooms into aromatic fortresses where lavender, eucalyptus, and peppermint were treated like airborne medicine. But inhaling oils doesn't strengthen immunity, and using them improperly can irritate lungs, especially for children and people with asthma. Still, many households treated their diffuser like a force field generator, an invisible shield humming quietly in the corner. If immune systems worked like scented candles, hospitals would smell like spas. 14. Bran muffins walked confidently into breakfast menus, disguised as fiber-rich health food. But the industrial versions sold in chains and cafes can pack more sugar and fat than slices of cake. Americans buy them believing they're participating in a virtuous morning ritual, unaware that the healthy choice is essentially dessert in a brown wrapper. Nutritionists gently explain that fiber sprinkled on top of sugar doesn't create balance. It creates a baked contradiction. Calling it a muffin doesn't change its destiny. It's cake with a marketing degree. 15. Vitamin-infused waters promised hydration elevated to cosmic levels, implying that a simple bottle could brighten skin, sharpen focus, and rebalance chakras. In reality, many contain added sugars, artificial colors, and negligible amounts of vitamins that make little difference once digestion begins. Consumers sip them like liquid self-improvement, while unknowingly reenacting the nutritional value of diluted candy. The truth is simple. If hydration needs vitamins, nature would have colored rivers neon. So far, we've watched Americans navigate the concept of health with the same precision they apply to assembling IKEA furniture. Tremendous confidence, zero understanding, and a deep belief that intention alone can override physics. So far, we've seen scientists weaponize dolphins, governments panic over clouds, and people who genuinely believed the Earth was allergic to satellites. Somewhere out there, common sense is screaming into a pillow. Across these 45 entries, a pattern has taken shape, one woven from marketing slogans, wishful thinking, and the eternal search for shortcuts. Americans embraced granola as spiritual breakfast, smoothies as liquid salvation, and kombucha as fermented enlightenment. They turned detox teas into pilgrimage rituals, protein bars into personality traits, and charcoal lattes into noir-themed beverages of purification. Every aisle of every store became a temple, every package a sermon, and every buzzword a tiny miracle waiting to be misinterpreted. What makes all of this so absurd isn't the desire to be healthy. It's how loudly the culture insists on confusing effort with aesthetic. If a product is labeled natural, the logic goes, it must be morally superior. If it's organic, it must be pure. If it's green, surely it must be cleansing. But nature produces cyanide, arsenic, poison ivy, and the internal fear that drives people to drink lemon pepper immune shots on an empty stomach. Purity has never been guaranteed by packaging. The truth hiding beneath the shiny labels is quieter and less glamorous. Health is boring, slow, and deeply unmarketable. It doesn't glow neon, fizz theatrically, or come in limited edition seasonal flavors. And maybe that's why the wellness industry thrives, because reality isn't nearly as exciting as the stories we want to believe. Maybe stupidity isn't the opposite of intelligence. It's what happens when intelligence goes unsupervised. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the American wellness saga, a place where aspiration collides headfirst with marketing, where every product promises transformation, and where health itself becomes a choose-your-own-adventure story written by advertisers with very flexible definitions of truth. Americans aren't alone in wanting shortcuts, but they have perfected the art of believing that the right drink, the right powder, the right bar, or the right color-coded label can outrun biology. It's a belief system built on the hope that health can be hacked the same way a phone can, quickly, cleanly, and with a swipe of a card. The darker comedy comes from how predictably the myth repeats itself. A product appears, an influencer praises it, a crowd believes it, and science quietly raises its hand in the back of the room, like a student who knows the correct answer, but has already accepted that no one is listening. Wellness fads don't spread because they work. They spread because humans desperately want them to. It's comforting to imagine that spinach powder can erase decades of poor sleep, that almond milk can stand in for nutrition, that charcoal can trap toxins, and that gluten is the villain in every story. In a culture terrified of discomfort, convenience becomes medicine, and illusion becomes doctrine. And yet, beneath the jokes lies a truth that's hard to swallow. Misinformation thrives because it offers identity. Healthy becomes a costume, a lifestyle, a declaration of belonging. It's easier to buy a superfood than to examine the habits that made us vulnerable to the marketing in the first place. When you can drink your virtues, sprinkle them, stir them, or blend them, you never have to face the boring stability of what actual well-being demands: sleep, consistency, moderation, and choices no influencer can monetize. Modern health culture didn't go wrong because people are foolish. It went wrong because people are human. We always reach for the impossible, but sometimes it's because no one stopped to ask if we should. That instinct has pushed us to explore oceans, cure diseases, and map galaxies. And the same instinct has convinced ordinary citizens to swallow detox teas that act like gastrointestinal hand grenades. Human curiosity is powerful enough to build civilizations, but fragile enough to fall for neon-colored wellness shots sold beside the gum rack. The tragedy and comedy of it all is that the same mind capable of critical thought can also be persuaded by a label that says natural, as if the universe had personally approved it. This has been the Absurdist Files, where logic takes a vacation and reality writes the jokes.